give you a little historical outlook of the institution. This institution was first established in 2008 by an entrepreneur, American-Korean entrepreneur, Dr. David Sun. And he founded and operated until 2021. Am I right? Yeah. And then in 2021, Mr. Hanip took the institution over totally. So since then, he's been running. So for Mr. Hanip, it's just a new endeavor. He just jumped into that. But as an institution, of course, we have 14 years of history. 2008, that was the first establishment. In 2011, we received our first accreditation, right, Dr. Cho? 2011 with ACISIS, that was a different accrediting body. Then in 2015, the institution renewed the accreditation. Typically, if you're the first institution or the first time you go through this accreditation, they don't give you 5-10 years. They give you 3, 4, 5 years maximum. And then you have to come back after 5 years to get your accreditation renewal. So in 2015, university received a second renewal of its accreditation. And then 2016-17 era, university moved from one accreditor to another one because the previous accreditors had some issues with Department of Education. As you know, in America, we have regional accreditors, national accreditors, and among the national and career school accreditors are the one that we're working with. So with that, the recent changes happened in 2018, March. We officially moved from one accrediting body to another accrediting agency. And then since then, we're with the second accrediting body. As far as the student and staff profile goes, as you see, Doctor, we're all diverse, right? So I'm from Turkey, and then Dr. Choi is from Korea. Our boss is from Bangladesh. So what you see here is little United Nations, right? So that's exactly what you see if you walk into the classroom. If you walk into any IGU classroom, you will see equally diverse student population, and also as well as our faculty members, right? So our faculty members are very diverse. Basically, what we tell our students during the orientation, we say, hey, we are your color. All right, if you're white, we're white. If you're black, we're black. If you're from Bangladesh, we're from Bangladesh, right? So the good thing about being a small school, it's easily to listen to everybody. It's easily to get that color and sand of each culture, right? So therefore, if you look at our motto, it says diversity creates opportunity. So we're diverse. So much diverse. It's like a rose garden that each diversity adds to the total beauty. That's what we're proud of. Okay, so that little historical outlook, I'll just go through. Of course, as we had a little chit chat earlier, running school. I think America is not an exclusive country. Everywhere is a headache. But in America, of course, some of the things are regulated by multiple agencies. In the state of Virginia, well, that's true in every state. You have first state regulator. You have to go their blessing. You have to go their blessing to operate a university. So since its inception, of course, you have to get your SHEV approval in the state of Virginia. SHEV is our regulatory body, so we have to go get their certification so that we can advertise and enroll and recruit students and charge money. If you don't charge money, then you don't need SHEV approval, honestly. And then our accrediting body is ACCSC. That's one of the career-focused accreditor in America. And then this accrediting agency has been operating for the last 50 years, 50. So it's not a new accrediting body. It's a long history with them. And then, sorry for the, the low resolution of the screen. I copied from another text area, so I'm not a good at it. So we received our Title IV approval from Department of Education. Remember, we talked about how do you subsidize students, those not having enough financial strong background, whatever. In America, for higher education is very costly, as you know, very costly. So if you don't have college fund for your kids, whatever, when it comes to higher education, parents sometimes they go bankrupt. For example, for my daughter, I have to pay $36,000 every year. It's a lot of money, but she's luckily or unluckily, she's going to private state school, public school. So even public schools are very costly in America. So what happens is that when these U.S. citizens, they go to colleges, universities, oftentimes they don't have money. But then what happens is that federal funds come in to support these kids with the understanding that when these kids graduate, they'll find what we call is good job, and then so that they will be able to pay back. All right. So That's the idea. But the college tuition, of course, the raise of the college tuition is inevitable. It's going up, and so the federal fund. But that these students, when they graduate, they come up with a pile of debt to the federal government. Sometimes they end up paying, and sometimes they don't. And everybody's waiting for Biden administration to come up with some forgiving plan or forbearance plan so that they can come clean. That's what that program is, Title IV. We were certified by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to bring F1 students. That's what, a lot of students over here with the F1. And then we have our J1 program, as you said earlier, to do a faculty and student exchange. So we can bring visiting scholars from another university, from another country, to either participate team teaching with some faculty members together, or do a research together, or even do a joint publication. So that J1 program is exactly what you just alluded earlier. It's for student or faculty exchanges. And then, of course, this is a new initiative started in 2008. We call it NC-SARA. Universities, they started offering online courses. Then what happened is that some universities, popular universities, they started enrolling students from other states. But that student is a taxpayer in that state. Let's say a lot of students from Virginia enroll online program in New York. But then these students are taxpayers in Virginia. So what happens is that their money is going to another state. Therefore, federal entity came up with this called NC-SARA. They regulate these online education. So any university is planning to offer online, you have to go and get their approval too. That's what it is. And then, of course, in America, we have these veterans, big, huge veterans, right? So they're coming from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever. So these veterans, federal government has a different package called GI Bill, and we're certified for the GI Bill beneficiaries. So if these veterans, their sons and daughters or relatives come to us, then federal money comes in and helps them financially. So as you see, even with private universities, one of the private university, but if you're accredited, then you can get all those certifications so that your students will get extra financial help from federal government. Of course, you can still have your endowment fund or private, scholarships, or you can have corporate sponsorships. In some public universities, like in NOAA, they have huge corporate sponsorship. So let's say Amazon sending let's say trainload of students to NOAA, but then these students, they don't pay. It's a corporate sponsor. So Amazon pays instead of students. So anyway, I took it long. Very quick, as I said earlier, as far as our market goes, we have international students. That's a big population. And we have local domestic students as well as, and then we have J1s, and then we have NC-SARA group, those ones out of Virginia State. And then lastly, we have global campus. I like to put a little emphasis on global campuses because now that everything is online, right? Online is, in the past, there was this little skepticism against online degrees. Universities or some big employers, they were not really as receptive to online degrees as the residential degrees. But now this pandemic, I think, created a second norm. I think these online degrees are now being started receiving, according to the residential degree, I guess. So therefore, the distinction between online and residential degrees eliminated because of the virus, right? So therefore, we created this global campus to have a special emphasis on it. The reason why is because we're certified to offer every program online. Let's say you're a businessman in Bangladesh or India. You cannot leave your business. It's very important that you have to attend to your business, okay? So you can stay in your business. You don't need to come to America. There, you can join all courses online. All of our materials are, we call it digital learning materials. So all of our materials are all digital, right? So you can follow classes online without coming to America. And then you can completely finish the degree and yet get your degree. And degree has no distinction between residential degree and online. So that's equally accredited, certified, valid degree. So you don't need to come to America. So therefore, moving forward, I think we'll put a little bit more emphasis on global campus because basically from the business perspective, the cost to us is the same. It's the fixed cost, right? So you have these LMS, you have these, what do you call this, SIS and some other supplementary system. You're paying that anyway, right? So But one thing we do with the partnership of our sister company called People in Tech is that we're trying to create a perfect synergy between academia and industry. The reason why we have to do is the very same reason you just alluded earlier, right? So these students, when they graduate, if we have to do a real social impact, what is the first thing that we can do? Help them get a better job. That's it. People don't go to university for touristic exercise or for theatric display, right? They go to university to get a better education so that they can go and get a better job. That's simple. So our return on our investment is the amount of student getting a good paying job. So what happens is that with the People in Tech, we created this pathway is that our student, when they get to the last quarter of their degree, we put them through skill development path through the People in Tech. So we give them what the industry requires as far as the skills. Yes, in academia, we teach all those hardcore curriculum theories, whatever. But someone has to tell student, hey, this is the trends, emerging trends in industry. These are the skills that you have to have. This is the tool that you should be familiar with because during the interview, they'll ask you this tool, right? So that component, we're not able to do the academia. So People in Tech, they have this 15 years of experience. They're very good at it. So between two sister institutions, we have that synergy. We put our student through that skill development path. So when they graduate, then they have two wings. So they have skill wing and they have the knowledge. So they are very better prepared for the job. So that's what we do, and I think we do very good on that. The reason why I say is that when I look at our placement rate is about 84, 85%, Dr. Cho, something like that overall, right? Sometime 100. So imagine, 100 probably some of those, disclosure, yeah. But imagine, let's say 90%. 90% job placement is a very good number. So that means every 100 students we take into our system, we help 90 of them get a job. That's a big number, honestly. Even during this pandemic, getting 90% or 95% placement rate, that's a huge undertaking. But how do we do that? All right. We do that with the understanding that these students, they come to camp, they come to us to get a better education, get a better job. That's it. So we start with the end in mind. What is the end in mind? I have to find him a job. This guy coming to me, I have to find him a job. So therefore, we design an entire system with that basic understanding. The reason why we have to do this, a little graph on the wall, on the screen. If you look at here, basically 45% of the global wealth belongs to 1%. Look at this economic inequality. Right? Again, we're not talking about social inequality or whatever. We're talking about not income inequality. As far as income inequality goes, 45% of the global wealth belongs to 1% of the adult. But if you look at the bottom number, it says 1.3% of the global wealth belongs to 55%. So 55% of the earth population, the wealth of the 55%, if you add them together, it's only 1.3% of entire global wealth. Look at this inequality. So that means as a higher education institution, we have a job to do. This is what I call social impact. We have to do a little bit more assertive job on this area to make sure that our students get a decent paying job and then we change their lives one student at a time. Otherwise, this graph will go even worse because of the pandemic. Now, if you look at this earlier today, I was listening to CNN. It says during this pandemic, rich got richer, poor got poorer. So therefore, what we do, I think, has extra meaning when it comes to income inequality. Very quick, I think, I'm spending a lot of time on this. So some of the things that we do, we're very proud of it, and then we will continue doing it. And some of the things that we do is like our flagship, it's like our forte. For example, when I said job placement, I think is one of our forte. We're very strong in job placement. The other thing is that recently we created a department called Center for Student Success. Again, what we do is that understanding that some of these students, they are first time in America, they may not know American system. So what we do is we become very proactive to reaching out to these students before we feel that they are at risk of failing. Some students, they fail not because they don't want to study. It's because American education system is different, right? So therefore, as a school, we thought that we have some job to do there. Part of our due diligence, we created this department so that we can reach out to those first quarter students, say, hey, we see that you're our student. Is there anything we can do to help so that you stay at the same pace with the rest of the class? So therefore, when you look at and, you have to have a right design from the beginning. Remember, we have this 20-80 concept. The 80% of failure starts with the 20% design issues, right? So if you want to have a good product at the end, you have to have a good design at the beginning. So therefore, if I'm here with the idea to place everybody on a job, then I have to start from day zero. So day zero is that when they come over here, I have to motivate them. Hey, you're here to get a good education. My job is to give you a good education, but your job is to study hard, and together we'll help you get a job. So that's how I motivate them. So part of that, what Mr. Hanip is thinking is that soon, once we move to our new campus, to appeal local population, he's going to bring this notion, what we call this no job, no tuition. Again, see, I keep coming back to job. Why? Because job placement is our forte. That's what we do, and we do good. All right? And then, of course, we keep adding, depending on the market, we keep adding new programs. Recently, we added School of Allied Health. It is with the state of Virginia, still pending, so we haven't heard from them yet. Depending on how the market landscape aligns itself, whatever, we will keep adding the popular programs. As I said earlier, we have free soft skill development. Students on the last quarter of the program, we put them through the system, so we give them free skill development. Because one of the programs that is becoming more popular in our university is this cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is becoming so much popular in a way that, although it's one of the new school, but I think the number of enrollment outpaced the number of enrollment in another degree. So it became such a popular program. Therefore, we're creating, as we speak, a SOC lab. We call it Security Operations Center. I'll introduce that a little later. Of course, these things, success is not a coincidence. Success is you have to do a little bit things everywhere. You have to do a little bit in admission, a little bit in financial area to support students, but also academically. So one of the things we do to energize students to become future entrepreneur is that IGU Shark Tank project. So Dr. Robinson will probably tell us a little bit later about Shark Tank project. This is something just them to have real business-oriented discussion with the faculty members. So right now it's a intake window, right, Doctor? With still students applying to the Shark Tank competition. So once we selected some of those, good, promising project, then we'll assign faculty as their mentors. So they will start working with the faculty to develop better program, right? Again, I'm sure you're familiar with the Shark Tank concept in America. It's exactly the same thing. Another thing that we're thinking to implement is the Business Incubator. It is an early version of Shark Tank. Basically, Business Incubator, it's a free area for faculty and students to come together and hash ideas about emerging trends in the businesses. Or there's this Salesforce going on, or there's this new technology going on. Or let's say, because of the online or whatever pandemic, the businesses are changing the way that they're doing businesses, right? So they like to discuss some of those new trends so that these students will be motivated further to engage and stay relevant with the industry. So remember, we're not a research institution. This institution is a career-focused university. We're not a research, we're not a teaching university. We're teaching, but we're not preparing for public service, right? We're not a research institution. We don't put them in a lab and engage them some high end. No, we're preparing these students for the job. So therefore, everything and anything we do has to be relevant with the market out there. So I don't want to take much. Let's go. Okay, this is my baby basically. This is what I'm trying to do. Almost we speak every day with Dr. Cho. We're creating a security operations center. It's right there. I'm sure you've seen, white desks. White desks are coming. So we'll set up this room as the Security Operations Center. And then I've got a bunch of vendors to bring us some of the IT infrastructure. But soon you will have some movie type security operations center here. I little touched on this earlier with the partnership of people and tech. What we do is this is an iterative process. They give us a feedback and we give them feedback. So because of this feedback exchange, we are better positioned to revise our program and see whether our students are better equipped for the immediate job placement. So this is a very dynamic relationship. We share with them the things that we feel our students need and sharpen their skills when it comes to the job. And they give us a feedback about whether student needed some really deep dive into theory or knowledge base. This is a little bit, I thought, before putting this slide, I thought, what is the purpose of this? But I think the reason why I wanted to put this slide up there is that in this world right now, with this whole pandemic and online thing, communication was number one issue, but it is becoming more and more relevant right now. The communication skill and then social and ethical skill. So I think when I deeply thinking about what else to say during this presentation, I thought these two issues for me relevant. Reason why communication skill is important is because many of our students are coming from Asia or other countries, right? If you give them a mic and then put them in the middle of some, 10, 20 student body, they're not able to communicate and articulate on the topic of, at least acceptable level, all right? So basically, when I designed this pyramid, I think 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, so we thought about this one. We said, what else we can do as far as the school curriculum goes to make sure that our students, they become aware of this communication skill in America. Everywhere you go in America, communication skill is number one, right? It doesn't matter whether you're a businessman selling a little, piece of gum, or you're, CEO of a company selling some other high-end product. So communication is very key. And when I noticed that our students oftentimes, not only that they're shy of speaking during the public appearances, but also they don't have the cohesive idea to present. So therefore, we put this in our curriculum that our syllabuses, the entire university syllabus template, has an item called presentation. So in each class, we allow students to do some presentation so that they can develop self-confidence in themselves. And then when it comes to ethical and social skill, not at this online thing, we have, speaking of online bullying to, plagiarism to using someone else's work. So the boundaries of ethic is broadened up during the pandemic and other things. So therefore, again, we're looking at totality of the student. Right? We're not designing and producing a robot. We're producing human beings. We're producing tomorrow's leaders. So they have to have a strong understanding of ethics as well. Of course, in addition to content competency, you have to know your topic. Right? If you don't know your topic, you can't sell anything. So therefore, the pyramid you see on the left side is our university-wide learning outcome. On the right side, this is how we do. We don't only deliver content to the student. We again look at student in other ways and see if students need any support as far as the academic welfare goes, right? We know students, they're human beings. They have a lot of challenges at home. They have social issues. They have financial issues. Well, we may not be able to help in those issues, but at least we can realize that they may have these challenges. So that helps us to have a better empathy towards students coming with different background. Therefore, Mr. Hanip came up with this idea called SPEED, students with, the underserved, unprivileged. So we had this list of students, and then because of those, we developed some special scholarship program to empower these students. It's not easy when you deal with students. It's not easy. The students, sometimes when you click on it, you will see entire world is hidden under that face. So realizing these differences, I think we thought that we had to do a little extra. We cannot just be standard university. Okay, this is again the same thing. Oh, one thing we integrated into, again, the same pain, the pain of preparing our student to the job place, right? So pain is the same pain. What else I can do to prepare my student to the immediate job placement? So because of the same pain, we integrated what we call as the Skill USA framework into our curriculum. So basically, Skill USA framework focuses on job trades, focuses on the skills that students need to possess before they start on a job. So if you look at here, then you will see, for example, technical skills grounded by academia. So a student has to have a good technical skills based on real academic understanding. And they have to have workplace skills. One of the workplace skills, as I said earlier, is the ethical skills. Do you have the ethical values? All right, so it's especially when you get into the management track, the ethical values play a major role. So therefore, we integrated this Skill USA framework into our curriculum, and then the curriculum then gives blood to the program objectives. If you look at the wall, that's how we designed our curriculum. Of course, at the end of the day, then it drills down to the weekly activities. So everything in entire curriculum design, weekly activity is a manifestation of that. We talked about Shark Tank and then Center of Student Success. This is my last slide, and I'll stop. Mr. Hanip and I, we've been having this conversation and immediate and long-term planning. One of the short-term planning, I will call this 6 years, but it's still relatively short given the lifespan of the institution. So hopefully by 2028, this is where we would like to be. Today we have 3 schools. Well, we have 2 schools, but our accrediting body sees cybersecurity as a separate school. So we have today 3 schools. So by 2028, we would like to have 7 schools. So we would like to add School of Nursing. We would like to add School of Medicine. Because Mr. Hanip is an engineer, he's intimately familiar with the engineering. He really wanted to see engineering there. So with all those 7 schools under the university umbrella, we are planning to serve 7,000 students. That's the plan, right? And then at the end of 2018, we'd like to have 200 staff, faculty member, 250 staff member, and then we'd like to have 5 campuses in America and 4 global campuses. Global campuses, 1 in Dubai, 1 in Africa, 1 in Eastern Europe preferably, and 1 in South Asia. Those are the, again, locations that we were able to identify. And we would like to have 2 research institutions and 2 think tanks. And then that requires about $100 million investment. That's, hypothetically projected. So that's what we are moving ahead as far as the plan goes. For the immediate plan, of course, we're looking for a campus location soon, team members. Faculty members. So hopefully we'll find a very good standalone building. That's our plan. A standalone building with little green area outside with the campus ambience. When you walk in, it will say, "I am a campus." So that's what we're looking for now. Aggressively, almost every day, Mr. Hanip and I, and then with our real estate brokers, we're aggressively looking for that. Hopefully that will happen sometime very soon. With that, I'd like to give mic to Mr. Hanip a little bit to welcome again the professors.